Hello dear students, how are you? I wish all of you will be healthy and safe. So student, today I am going to start the very important topic in Python, that is list. So first of all you should know what is list. And in Python, lists are containers, means that which stores the values, are used to store a list of values of any type. Means in a list you can store multiple values of any type. Okay, so unlike other variable, Python lists are mutable. Mutable means you can change it, you can change the elements of a list in place, but in string, in numbers you cannot change it. But in list you can change the elements of the list. Okay, so what is this? A list is a collection which is ordered collection. It is an ordered collection and changeable, means you can change the values stored in a list. Okay, so next, what how to create a list? So creation of list is very simple. You have to put all the elements in a square bracket. Put a number of expression in a square bracket, that is used to square bracket to indicate start and end of the list, and separate the items by commas. Okay, here you can see I am using the square bracket. In a square bracket I am storing the elements by separating comma. Okay, so this is the list of integers, this is the list of floating point numbers, this is the empty list. Okay, if you write down only square bracket and don't include any element, so it is known as empty list. Okay, so this is the list of string and this is the list of integers and string. So in a list you can store any type of values. Okay, so let's see how to create a list. So to create a list, first write down the variable name. Okay, write down it is my list 1 equals to, and use the square bracket and write down the elements here. Okay, it, and separated them by using comma. Okay, so in this list I have 4 elements. Now see how the list will print. Now print list 1. Okay, and run your program. So now you can see the all elements of the list. Okay, so this is the way to create a list. So this is the way to storing the elements in a list. So in a list you can store any type of value. These are integers, this is string, and now I have floating point values. Okay, so any type of values can be stored in a list. Okay, so what is long list? If a list contains many elements, then to enter such long list you can split it across several lines. If you have many elements, so there is no need to worry, just write down the elements in a new line. Okay, now let's see. If you have multiple elements like this, okay, here the one comma is missing, that's why it is raising the error. Let's see. Okay, so there is no problem if we have multiple elements. Now, the nested list, if a list has another list as an element, is it called nested list. As I have told you that in a list we can store any type of element, so a list can store a list also. Okay, now let's see. If I want to store the list of elements here, so now in a list, this is the list 1, so in a list I am storing another list, or you can store multiple list also, like this. Okay, so this is called nested list. Okay, so in a list you can store another multiple lists also. Okay, so this is called nested list. Now, so you can use the built-in list type object to create the list from sequences. What are sequences? Sequences means just like your string, your tuples, your list, etc. All these are your sequences. Okay, if you have a sequence or from a sequence you want to create a list, so in this case you have to use the list keyword. Okay, but whenever you use the list keyword you have to pass only single parameter, not multiple parameter. Okay, here list is working as a function. As I have told you, function needs a parameter. To call this function you need to pass a parameter. Okay, so let's see. So remove it. Now here I am using the list keyword, and here I am passing the another list or string. Okay, I am using a string rlvm hathras. Now let's see how it will display. It will separate each character, okay, as an element of a list. Let's run it. Now you can see the whole string is converted into the individual element of the list. Here R, L, V, M, all these characters are the elements of this list. Okay, you can pass, this is the string, you can pass another list also. Okay, okay, so in a list as a parameter you can pass a list also. Now you can see this is a list, we are retrieving a list. Okay, now you can pass a tuple also. So in the next video, sorry, in the next class after completing the list, I will cover tuples. Okay, so how to create a tuple? To create a tuple, just use the parenthesis. Okay, so this is your tuple. Okay, so here using tuple, so you are using the list keyword. To use the list keyword you have to pass a single parameter. Okay, so now you have learned the two ways to create a list. Okay, just using the square bracket or pressing the or using the list keyword. There is another way to use the to create a list. Okay, so here I am defining the all values, but I need the value whenever I run the program. So in this case you will use the input keyword. Okay, so use the input keyword here, list, and write down input, and write down the message, enter the elements. Okay, enter the elements. And one thing you have to do, you have to use the split function for this. Okay, because here you will get a string and split function will break down that string into multiple elements. Okay, let's run this program. Now it will ask for the elements. Now write down the elements. So here you are free to write down any number of elements as your requirement. Okay, so the str object and split. Sorry, the spelling of split is wrong, that's why it is raising the error. So write down the split keyword. Okay, now enter the elements. Okay, okay, so this is the another way to create a list. Okay, so now you are aware, you know that there are three ways to create a list. First, simple use a square bracket. Okay, whenever you have the fixed number of elements, whenever you know the elements, so in this case you will use the square bracket method. If you have a simple sequence just like string, tuple, list, then use simple using list keyword. But whenever you don't know the number of elements, then in this case you will use this input method. Okay, whenever you want to input the number at the time of running the program. Okay, now so accessing list. So how to access the elements of a list? So list have their individual elements, as you know, just like strings. List elements are also indexed like strings. So in string we have two types of indexing: forward indexing and backward indexing. Okay. So like indexing we use in string, that's similarly we use indexing in list also. Okay, so in forward indexing the value starts from 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on. In backward indexing, the value start from -1. So -1 is indexed to the last item, and we move to the backward position like -1, -2, -3, -4, and so on. Okay, so it is not new for you. So you can access the list element just like you access the string element. For example, list I is the index position. Okay, if you want to access the item number 6, so in this case you will write down list 5 or list -1. Okay, so string slicing. So list A column B. This is the way to find out the part of the list or part of the string. So A column B. It is just like a string slicing. Okay. Now you are slicing the list. Will give you the elements index from A to B minus 1. It is clear. Similarly, what is the similarity between strings and lists? Length. So using len function, you can return the number of elements in the list like a string. Okay. How? Let's see. So if you want to check how many elements in the list are, it's very simple. So write down the len function. L equals to len of what? List 1. Okay. And print length of the list equals to, or number of elements in the list, write down L. Okay. Now run your program. What is missing here? Okay, comma is missing here. Okay, run your program. Now it will ask for the number of elements. Write down the number of elements. So how many elements in the list are? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So it will print the length of the list. So len function is used to find the length of the list. Okay. Let's move to the indexing and slicing. The process of indexing and slicing is same for both. Okay. As you use indexing and slicing in a string, this process is same. Okay. How? Let's see. Suppose in your list, now I am creating a list using square bracket. Okay, I am storing the values like this. Okay, so now I am using string indexing. Okay, so here I want to print the elements of third position. So how I will print? It's very simple. Write down the print statement. Sorry, write down the print statement, and here list 1 and write down the index number. If you want to print the third position number, then indexing will be 0, 1, 2. So write down here 2. Okay. So now run your program. Now you can see the third position element is 78. Okay. And string slicing. So next one is list slicing. So in list slicing, what you have to do, you have to pass the initial value and ending value. Okay. Suppose I want to get these three elements. Okay. So what is the indexing number of 78? 0, 1, 2, and indexing number of 45 is 0, 2, 3, 4. So what you have to do, you have to pass the value like this. It will start from 2 and it will go till 5. Okay, so this is called list slicing. As you print your program, you will get the values from 78, 12, and 45. Okay, as we slice the string, similarly you can slice the list also. Okay, so next one is membership operator. So there are two types of membership operator, in and not in, as you know. So in determines that the particular value exists in the list or not, or similarly not in determines that the particular value does not exist in the list or not. Okay, let's check how in and not in function works in list. Okay, so suppose remove this list and check if sorry if 15 in 15 in list 1, then it will print yes, otherwise it will print no. Okay, so in function determines, it will return true if list is present in the list, the item is present in the list or not. Okay, and you see it will print yes. Why? Because list is 15 is present in the list 1. Okay, if you write down here not in, then in this case it will print no, because list 15 not in list, we are oppositing. Okay, not in list but 15 is present, that's why it will print no. If you write down here 150, so in this case it returns true. Why? Because 150 is not in the list. Okay, let's see, now it will print yes. Why? Because 150 is not present in the list. Okay, so next is concatenation operator. So concatenation operator joins two string. Okay, how? Let's see. Suppose you have list 1 here, I have list 2, and it's in list I have two some elements also. Okay, in the list I am creating another list 3, and list 3 will contain the items of list 1 and list 2 also. So the plus operator is used to join two lists. If you print list 3, print list 3, now you can see in the list 3 you have the items of list 1, or these are the items of list 1 and items of list 2. So these are the items of list 2. Okay, so similarly you can use the replication operator. So replication operator is used to multiply the items of the list. Okay, operator repeats the lists. Okay, let's see how. Suppose here I have the list 1, and if I use the replication operator 3 times, now let's see the result. Now you can see in list 3 we have items of list 1 triple times, 3 times, because we have used 3 here. So in list 3 we will contain the elements of list 1 3 times. So now you can see first time, second time, and third time. Okay, so similarly we can use these concatenation and replication operator in string also. Okay, so these are the similarity, and the next one is the difference from string. So strings are mutable, sorry, immutable means we cannot change it, while lists are mutable, we can change the items in the lists. Let's see how. Suppose in list 1, in list 1, in the first index I have 96, but I want to change it. So write down the list 1, in the first index it will be 100. Now let's see, the value will be changed. Now you can see in the list 1 we have 96, but we have changed the value. In the first index we should have 100, so that's why whenever we print the list 1 we will get 100, not 96, because list has been changed now. So that's why we are saying that the list is mutable. Okay, so traversing a list, so we can traverse or across the elements of the list by using for loop, because since your list has multiple elements and each element is behave individually, so how can we traverse the list? So we can traverse the list by using for loop. So write down the for I in what? Write down the sequence here, list 1, and we can access the element as you need. So here I am printing the elements, so write down the print keyword. Okay, so print what? I, print I, and let's use the tab also. So to use the tab you have to use the end keyword. slash t slash t. Okay, now print your element. Now your elements of the list are separated. Now it is not a list. Now you have individual element. So using for loop, you can traverse your list. You can traverse the elements of list. Okay. There is another way to traverse the list by finding the length of the list. Like why do we find the length of the list? We use len function. So len, here you have to write the list. So L will store the length of the string. What you will do? You will use the range function for I in range, and here range will be L. Okay, and here you have to write down the list. So now let's see. Check this loop. So here the initial value of I will be 0. So it will go till the length of the list 1. So initial value will be 0, then after 1, then after 2, then after 3, and so on. Okay, now let's see. First initially we have 0, so it will check the list 1 zeroth index. So in the zeroth index we have 85, so it will print 85. In the next index, the next value of I will be 1. So it here I will the list 1. Here you will get 1 in the first index. We have 96 in the second index. We will get 70. So similarly, we can access the elements of the list. Okay, from your program, a similar result you will get here. Okay, so these are the two ways to traverse the list. Okay, students. So I think enough for this session. So in the next video, we will cover some programs related to list. So to know about the list, you have to watch this video again and again. So thank you, students. Have a nice day. Be healthy, be safe.